How is it going, everyone? We have kicked off our Black Friday kind of preview videos for those of you looking to pick up PlayStation games, and I've been seeing the positive feedback regarding me talking more about physical game deals, and I have a fun video for you guys. Obviously, going into Black Friday, what I've said over and over again is, from a value standpoint, I feel like some of the worthwhile deals that you're gonna get is the physical game deals on the newly released games, and I'm talking about games released this year, maybe last year as well. But those games, generally speaking, are gonna be at an appreciated price point on the PlayStation Store. Trust me, I've seen so many instances about Black Friday deals on the PlayStation Store being $10, $15 more expensive than the physical copies you're gonna get in stores when it comes to the newly released games. And in this video, kind of want to do a preview. I have rounded out 25 of the biggest PlayStation 5 game releases of the year. All of these games have had physical game releases. Now, to be fair, some of these Microsoft published games, you know, not all the content is on disc, but they are still available in stores, and you can still get the games discounted. Of course, you gotta download a bunch of the content online. You guys know how it works, and we are gonna be going through each game, game by game. Now, it'll all be in the description box, but I am going to put an over-under mark on there as well. So if it's under that price point, I would say you're getting a good deal. Over, I would say stay away, and it's gonna vary game to game. Honestly, it's gonna vary person to person. I'm just one guy, and I'm not gonna have the opinion on what your interest level on a game should be. Look, if I'll give you guys my opinion, that's what these videos are. At the end of the day, it's one man's opinion, but thought we would go through it. I thought this would be a fun time, and honestly, it'll be fun to go back and look at this video and see how many of these deals even come to fruition. If they're well under, if they're over. I think this is a pretty good gauge. I'm not trying to get too crazy with this. I'm not saying, oh my god, Battlefield 6 for $20 or something like that. That's just not gonna happen. Even if it's Black Friday, you keep things within reason. But again, I know for a lot of you guys, it's all about getting some of these newly released games at a little bit of a lower price point. So we'll talk all about that, but also, you know, when it comes to the 2025 games, remember, these games are going to still be a little bit more expensive since they're fairly recent. So even if some of these deals come to fruition, or even if they're a bit lower than what I am listing, just keep in mind that unless you're going to play the games in the relative near future, the room is always there for them to get even cheaper. Like, if you buy some of these games and you hold on to them for a year or 2 years and never play them, or you get to them 2 years from now, well, I would pretty much guarantee you that every single game on this list, barring maybe one, is going to be considerably cheaper in 2 years versus what it's going to be on sale for right now. And I'll get to that one game and I'll make mention of it, since, you know, some of these games seem to go out of print sometimes, and, you know, we end up or the situation that the physical copies appreciate. With that being said, let's get right into it. We're gonna go game by game. 25 titles here, so buckle up. It's gonna be a longer video. I'll also give you guys my opinion on each of these games because I think I've played every single one of them. Yes, at the very least, I've at least dabbled into every single one of these games. So let's start it off with Ninja Gaiden 4. I'm putting the over-under on this one at $50, given that it just came out back at the end of October. Completed this game. Awesome game. If you want a fast-paced action game, boy oh boy, Ninja Gaiden 4 is exactly that. And with all of the optional content, like the individual levels have side objectives and you have these other levels you can get into, or the other optional content that you can get into, it actually ends up being like a 15 to 16 hour campaign, and there's some replayability, you know, Master Ninja Mode and some of the other bonuses after you beat the game. Love the game. I know the $70 price tag was a little bit hefty, but this is legitimately one of my favorite games of the year. I know most people aren't putting it in that category, but for me and what I like out of video games, sometimes I want to feel like an absolute badass. Ninja Gaiden 4 let me do that in spades, and an awesome soundtrack as well in this game. It was one boss battle in particular. I was like, oh my goodness, we are cooking some serious gas with Ninja Gaiden 4. Love the game, and again, over-under on this one at $50. Next up, Outer Worlds 2. Putting the over-under on this one at $45. I'm just putting it a little bit cheaper than Ninja Gaiden 4. I know they came out on the same day, and they're both Microsoft published games, but Ninja Gaiden 4 has all the content on disc. You know, Outer Worlds 2 does not. Playing Outer Worlds 2 right now, not finished up with it. You know, I'm enjoying it. Am I seeing it at the level of some other people that think of it as, you know, a top-tier RPG? No, I'm only about 10-11 hours in though, so I still have some time to put into it. I think it's fine. Probably, for my opinion on the game thus far, I would say wait for it to get cheaper because it's going to get a lot cheaper, and I just think there's a lot of competition with upper echelon RPGs that I wouldn't put Outer Worlds 2 at that level, but I seem to be in the minority on it, putting the over-under here at $45. I'm pretty confident it's gonna hit 50. 45 might be a little bit of a stretch, but we'll see how that turns out. Next up, Digimon Story Time Stranger, putting the over-under on this at $50, so I foresee this being a game that's going to hold up in price for quite a while. It's been received really well, but I also could see this being a game. It would be worthwhile to do some sort of discount during the holidays because I think there will be a little bit of a holiday push for it. I think there's a positive buzz around Digimon right now, and I definitely saw that notion, much like Ninja Gaiden, where a lot of people had interest in Digimon Story Time Stranger, but they did not want to spend a full $70 on it. I think being down to $50, it would actually sell pretty damn well, and a lot of people that were on the fence on it will end up picking it up. Ultimately, the game's going to get DLC content as well, so you know, you want more people to play the game, and I think it's a great JRPG, so over-under on that, $50. Battlefield 6, I do think it's gonna get discounted. I think we're living in a different era for these live service games. You know, back in the day, the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, they would hold up in price for quite a while. You know, Battlefield 3, MW3 era, like 2011, but the game has changed. I'm gonna put the over-under on Battlefield 6 at $50. Again, this game just came out, but the reality is, it is a live service game. They already sold an initial wave of a ton of copies at $70. Now the game should be to get more people's foot in the door, and on the back end, you make more money off of them with the live service sales and the monetization that way. It's not the end of the world if they put this game on sale. You know, it seems to be pretty well received. I'm kind of old and washed up when it comes to competitive multiplayer games, so it's not really my cup of tea. I think I've truly moved on from that era, but I can appreciate these games coming out, and yeah, over-under on that at $50. Borderlands 4, putting the over-under on this at $40. Look, the game already went on sale. Best Buy had it at $55. Take-Two themselves said the sales were a little bit softer than expected, and to be perfectly honest, even at $40, guys, I would not buy this game. That's my personal opinion. I put the over-under on $40 because I think that's the threshold that if you're super interested in the game, you should be looking for it to be under $40. But we all know the game here. We all know if you already waited a couple months, look, you could obviously wait to play this game. It's Borderlands. I beat the game. Did I like the game? I thought it was fine. It was another Borderlands experience, and I'm sorry, I don't view Borderlands as an experience to be worth the premium price that they're asking for, and the premium price being $130 for the Super Deluxe Edition, and ultimately it might get a second season pass. You know what the game with this one is gonna be. You pay $40 now, you're buying a segmented experience. Yes, a lot of these games are gonna end up getting DLC. Borderlands 4 is gonna get a lot of DLC, and a lot of the DLC is super consequential to the content of the game. Bear in mind, the first piece of DLC, the first Vault Hunter that they're gonna add to the game, I would say is the coolest Vault Hunter, better than the main 4 that are in the game. So I think best money is, dude, you can wait to play this game. Yes, it'll be a couple of years, but in 2027, when the game is ironed out of all of its issues, when all the content is out, and you can buy the Super Duper Ultra Deluxe Edition for $30, that's what you should be waiting for. There's a lot of games to play, and Borderlands 4 is one that the content is going to exponentially increase in terms of how much is available, and the price point is going to go lower and lower. It's the one out of every game on this list that I would personally say, and I beat the game, you guys, now, to be fair. Gearbox and 2K sent me a copy of the game, but I keep it 100 with you guys. Just because they sent me a copy of the game, I ain't gonna tell you to go buy it at a premium price point. This is one I would wait 2 years for, and I would get that Super Duper Deluxe Edition on sale. Next up, Cronos the New Dawn. Now, Cronos the New Dawn is an interesting one that it already went on sale for $40, which I thought was a fantastic deal. I'm putting the over-under on Cronos at $35. I already thought that $40 price tag was great when that was available, but hey, since it's Black Friday, how about we get $5 cheaper on that? I really liked Cronos. I thought from an atmosphere standpoint, it was phenomenal. The narrative is pretty compelling, albeit you know, with the time aspect to a game, it's always a little bit hard to land on that. But good game, not super lengthy. It is pretty challenging. There is a bit of replayability there. But yeah, $35 I think would be what you should be looking for. Mafia, the old country, putting the over-under on this at $35. I could see it end up being a $30 price point. I think if they put it at $30, a lot of people will run out to grab it. I think there's some positive momentum. The word came out that it did better than the expectations of the sales standpoint. I don't think this game did gangbuster numbers from a sales standpoint, but so happy that it did do well enough to justify experiences like this. Yeah, it's not super lengthy. You can complete it in around, you know, 9 hours. 10 hours, around that range, but it's a game that I'll go back to and I'll play through it multiple times. Like, if you do a compact, straight, all-killer, zero-filler type of single-player, narrative-driven experience, that's gonna be right up my alley, and I will go back and play through it multiple times. Now, was I super into the narrative? At times I was. I wasn't crazy about the ending, to be honest, but I don't want to get into spoiler territory. I really did overall enjoy the game, and I think if it's anything less than $35, if you want that kind of experience, it's a worthwhile one to get. So yeah, putting the over-under on Mafia, the old country, at $35. Split Fiction, we're putting the over-under on this at $30. It came out earlier this year at $50. One of the Game of the Year contenders, and I think it's an outstanding game. And to me, Split Fiction kind of fits that holiday vibes, and by holiday vibes when it comes to gaming, I'm thinking about good vibes type of games, and Split Fiction is a total good vibes type of game. The co-op gameplay design in this game is so incredible. Now, I will say this. I think people look at the Haze-like games and Split Fiction in particular as a game of, oh, I can get my wife into gaming, or I can get my girl into gaming, and she's not super into video games, or just, you know, somebody that's not super into video games. Split Fiction, oh, I can play with them, we can have a good time. Guys, I do not think Split Fiction is that game. Split Fiction, its gameplay has quite a lot of nuance to it, and I think anybody that's not that well adjusted to a game controller and playing video games regularly, they'll get infuriated with Split Fiction. I think the gameplay is incredible and it's incredibly well designed, but I don't think it's the best game for a newcomer. With that being said, again, the game is total good vibes, and I had a phenomenal time with it. But again, it is a co-op only game, so you do have to find this archaic being, this archaic idea of having friends. So, like, you need to have a friend to play this game with, unfortunately, but if you buy the game, you can invite someone to play with you for free. So you don't have to buy the game twice or anything like that, but yeah, $30 on that, putting the over-under there. I'm pretty confident about seeing it at 35. 30 might be a little bit of a push, given that it is a literal Game of the Year contender. Speaking of Game of the Year contenders, we're putting the over-under on Death Stranding 2 on the beach at $45. 45 I'm comfortable with putting it at. There is that element of maybe it won't get that cheap, but it was literally $50 just not too long ago. But Sony published games generally hold up in price for quite a while. Death Stranding 2 didn't seemingly do, like, incredible sales numbers, so I would think, you know, try to get a push on this game for the holiday season. I wouldn't even be that opposed. I mean, oh my god, I wouldn't be opposed to the game getting cheaper, but if I'm in Sony's shoe and we want to do a push for a game, Death Stranding 2 at $40, I actually think is the route that they should go. It's just, again, those PS published games just hold up in price. Stellar Blade is still $50, so if Stellar Blade is holding up at $50, you know, is Death Stranding 2 gonna get to $45? I think it would be ideal, but we'll see. Even if it's $50, if you have interest in the game, I would say pick it up. It's literally 1B alongside Expedition 33 for my Game of the Year. It's just, I would highly recommend you to play Death Stranding 1 before you play Death Stranding 2. So, Death Stranding 2 over-under on this is 45. Monster Hunter Wilds, we're gonna put the over-under on this at $30, which honestly might be a little bit lower than some of you guys expect, but Monster Hunter Wilds has lost so much steam, and I think for Capcom, it's about earning consumer goodwill back again, so that's what I would like to see. I would like to see it at $30, and do I hate the game? No, I don't hate Monster Hunter Wilds at all. I think it's a totally serviceable game. Definitely not at the level of the other Monster Hunter games, and from a technical standpoint, it was a disaster, especially on PC. Like, the main thing with that game is it was a disaster on PC, but overall, I would say at $30 it would be a pretty good deal. But Wilds is gonna be one of those games that'll probably get an expansion. The real money play is probably to wait a couple years and wait for the, you know, complete edition at a discounted price point, but we'll put the over-under on Wilds at $30. Trails in the Sky first chapter, you know, it wouldn't be a complete video if I didn't get my glazing in for this game. We're putting the over-under on this at $50. It's a super niche JRPG. This is the one that I mentioned at the top of this video. 2 years from now, this game could literally be out of print. That's generally what happens with the Legend of Heroes game. Now, this one is different where it wasn't published by NIS America. It was published by Gung Ho Online. However, that probably makes it so that this physical copy is going to be even more valuable. So if you see a slight discount on this and you want to pick it up, I would say good money play is to pick it up right away, because at some point, I could see this game go out of print, not available regularly. Look at the price points we gotta pay on some of these older Legend of Heroes games if you want them physically. You're paying an arm and a leg for them, so I would say if you see the slightest of discounts and you have somewhat of an interest in it, pick it up. It's amazing. This is a Game of the Year contender as well. Whenever I talk about Game of the Year contenders, I never mention Trails in the Sky first chapter because, dude, it's not even gonna get nominated. Legend of Heroes never gets the shine that it deserves for Game of the Year, so it's just like, from my head, it's just eliminated. Like, I just feel like Legend of Heroes exists in its own world that a lot of the more, I don't want to say casual Game Awards type people, type viewers and people that talk about Game Awards, like, obviously Legend of Heroes is never gonna get that shine, so I'm just like admitting defeat off rip, but I never mention it. But if we really wanted to be honest, like, for me, Trails in the Sky first chapter is alongside Death Stranding 2, is alongside Expedition 33, because I think the game is tremendous. It's a full-on ground-up remake of Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the first game, and it's a great entry point for the series, and it's an incredible remake. Highly recommended, and whatever discount it gets, I would say it'd be a worthwhile pickup. Speaking of remakes and updated releases, Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice Chronicles, putting the over-under on this at $35, completed this game, had a great time with it. Man, oh man, was it brutally difficult, but what a great narrative in Final Fantasy Tactics. My memory of Final Fantasy Tactics is a bit foggy. Like, I played Tactics War of the Lines when it was available on PSP. Did not recall, and I was super young back then, so my memory of the narrative was not really there, but I did not realize how great this game was from a narrative standpoint. It's more of the Final Fantasy narrative and JRPG narrative that's more up my alley, more of a grounded political story with a lot of backstabbing, betrayal. I just thought it was so well done. Gameplay is incredible with all the jobs and whatnot and so much depth to it. Had a great time with it, fairly lengthy as well, but $35, a good pickup on that. Just keep in mind, it is super challenging, but your boy played Tactics Ogre Reborn, so I kind of knew as far as challenge was concerned what I was getting myself into, but yeah, still found the game to be difficult. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, another game that's in the mix for a lot of people's Game of the Year contender. We're putting the over-under on this at $35. It came out back in February, so some will see that as a little bit cheap, but you know, again, it came out back in February. I think a 50% off discount to push this game, and that would be for the base game. This game is getting quite a lot of DLC, so I think, you know, selling it for $35 is fine. It's like 36 bucks on Steam right now, although the PC version of this game was inherently $10 cheaper than the console version, so maybe it'll be a bit more expensive. I think $35 for KCD2 probably is a bit wishful, but again, a game that a lot of people really enjoyed, but I've been pretty vocal about my thoughts on the game. I loved it in a lot of areas. I still think the combat is one of those aspects of this game that is going to turn a lot of people away, but for $35, I think it would be well worth a pickup. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, $35 is the over-under on this. Honestly, you could say $30 would be the sweet spot. Bear in mind that this is another one of the Microsoft published games that does not have all the content on disc, so that physical copy is a little less valuable, but the game itself I thought was phenomenal. I thought Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was a tremendous, tremendous game, and I just had a fantastic time with it. You know, as the game was coming out, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's Uncharted crossed with Dishonored, and that idea got me really excited. I wouldn't say I enjoyed it as much as those two games, but I still thought it was a pretty damn good game, and the visuals are gorgeous. Like, these are some of the best graphics you're gonna see out of a game all generation, so, you know, if we see it for $35, I would say it's well worth a pickup. Ghost of Yotei, I don't believe will be discounted, but I'll put the over-under on it at 60 bucks. PlayStation first-party releases generally hold up in price until the following year's Days of Play. So God of War Ragnarok wasn't discounted until 2023's Days of Play, and it came out fall of 2022. Same thing with Spider-Man 2. Came out fall of 2023, wasn't discounted until Days of Play 24, and I believe the same went down with Astrobot, where Astrobot came out, wasn't discounted until Days of Play this year. So I foresee that being the same case with Yotei. I think Yotei is easily worth the $70. I think the game is remarkable, but nonetheless, if it is seeing a discount, $59.99 is, I think, the best you're gonna do, but I think it would still be well worth it. Gears of War Remastered, we'll put the over-under on this at 30 bucks just because the game came out at $40, so that was already a pretty, you know, cheap release. If it's 25 or 20, that would be great, but I just don't see them putting a physical game that just came out down to $20 this quickly, maybe sometime next year, but for $30, I think it would be an okay pickup. It's just Gears 1. I played through the campaign and had a great time with it. I'm kind of a sucker for Gears, so obviously I was going to enjoy it. But yeah, for 30 bucks, it would be great. And the content of the game, the campaign, is on disc for Gears, so good stuff there. We want to support stuff like that. Silent Hill F, putting the over-under on this at $40. I get that a lot of people really dug Silent Hill F. Wasn't really my cup of tea. I love the atmosphere. I love the vibes to the game. That combat I was not crazy about. Trying to add stamina, the Souls-like melee combat, just not my cup of tea, but the vibes of the game were great. The narrative was pretty compelling, you know, a lot of mystery, but it comes together pretty nicely, and it's a pretty dark story as well. Again, I think south of $40 if you're into horror games, given that it just came out, it'd be a good pickup. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, we'll put the over-under on this at $45. We've seen it discounted. I believe it was down to $60 at, like, Best Buy, but we gotta get it a little bit cheaper. I think likely money is it being down to 50, but 45 would be ideal. And hey, last year, Silent Hill 2 the remake, another Konami published game, and it's a remake, got down to $30 at Walmart, and Silent Hill 2 remake came out in October. Like, we're talking 6-7 weeks after release, it was down to $30. Now, that $30 deal for Silent Hill 2 was a very small window for you to pick it up, so, you know, it would still be nice if Delta Snake Eater got down to 45, and I think a ton of people would pick it up because, while I was obviously going to get Delta Snake Eater right away, you know, I'm in a luxurious position with this channel and whatnot, a lot of people I saw, hey, it's a PS2 game that is getting remade, but it's a 15-hour-long game, I can wait for it to get cheaper, and I think 45 would be a price point a lot of people would pick it up for. Dragon Quest 1 and 2, it just came out, that's one of those games I haven't gotten to yet, but $40 on that HD 2D remake. Square Enix games generally see a bit of a discount during Black Friday, even if they're recent releases. That's why I put Tactics at 35, and Dragon Quest 1 and 2, I'll put the over-under on that at 40. Doom the Dark Ages, we're putting the over-under on this at $30. Another Microsoft published game that, you know, kind of got the short end of the stick on the physical release with the not all the content being on disc, but what can you do? Enjoyed the game, beat it, thought it was great, loved the vibe shift to Doom. I know it's a little bit more methodical and maybe a little bit slower paced than the other Doom games, but I thought it worked pretty damn well. Loved the aesthetics to the game. Wasn't crazy about the story, like I know they put more emphasis into it, but I'm not trying to play a Doom game for the narrative, but nonetheless, $30 I think would be a good price point on that. Hell Is Us, that just came out, we're putting the over-under on that at $30, it was a budget release at $50, but that was one of those games, incredible atmosphere. It doesn't hold your hand whatsoever, so I think for some people, that's going to be right up their alley. For other people, not as much, but if you're looking for something that's incredibly engrossing, darker tone, Hell Is Us is going to be right up your alley. Dynasty Warriors Origins, we're putting the over-under on that at $35. It's a Tecmo Koei published game, and those games always hold up in price, but I hope that they put Dynasty Warriors Origins at a hefty discount because I think a lot of people will gravitate to it. It came out really early in the year, back in January, but I really enjoyed it, like as an over-the-top action game, and for newer Dynasty Warriors fans, I think Origins is a great one. Story is really, really engaging, and soundtrack is phenomenal to the game. I know it's getting a major expansion next year as well, so hey, sell the game at a bit of a discount, you know, hopefully people like it a lot, and that's a bigger pool of people for you to work with in selling that DLC next year, so let's hope it's down to 35. 30 would be ideal, but 35 on that. Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, we're putting the over-under on this at $40 because it's a Sega game, and Sega games have historically gone on sale very quickly. Sonic X Shadow Generations last year, I believe, got down to 30. Sonic Frontiers got down to 30. Sonic Superstars was heavily discounted. Like, the Sonic games every year, they get heavily discounted. Now, Racing CrossWorlds did release at $70. That's why we're putting the over-under on this at 40 and not, you know, 30. It's not going to get down to 30, but at 40, I think it's going to be a worthwhile kart racer, and it's got a lot of DLC, so once again, sell this game, can sell more people to the DLC. I think that makes sense. Oblivion Remastered, putting the over-under on this at $30. I think under $30 would be worthwhile. It's another one of those BS physical game releases with the download, so, you know, less value on the physical release, but $30 I think would be fine for it. It came out at $50. back in April for the digital release, like the digital release. The physical release did just come out, and I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised at it being priced at $40, so maybe they won't put it at a bigger discount again since it's fairly recent, but yeah, 30 bucks on that I think would be decent. And lastly, what better way to end this video than with Assassin's Creed Shadows? We're putting the over-under on this at 30 bucks. You know, I think this is a game that Ubisoft is going to heavily discount. We've seen it be discounted already. The Ubisoft games during the holidays, it's always something that gets discounted. In Shadows, it's not like it did incredibly well by all accounts commercially. It seemingly did okay, but relative to the cost of the game and the scale of the game, I think they're looking to sell more copies of it, and I think for the holidays, getting a bit of a push on it makes sense. Maybe, though, they don't want to put it at a heavy discount because they are going to be promoting the Nintendo Switch 2 release at $60, but I don't really think that's that big of a deal. Yeah, the Switch 2 games, when they come out, people are paying a premium for them because they're just dropping on the Switch 2. It's not like they were worrying about putting Persona 3 Reload on sale because, oh my god, the Switch 2 version was coming out. Like, Sega wasn't worried about that. P3R was going down to $20 while it was coming out on Switch 2 for $60, so I could see AC Shadows easily getting down to $30. Would I say it's worth it? Like, dude, at this point, you know if you like the Assassin's Creed games or not from a game design standpoint. I think narratively, the game is a literal atrocity. I think the characters in Assassin's Creed have been garbage for a long time. As far as the mainline Assassin's Creed games, I think the last two in particular have just been absolute trash. Ivor is legitimately one of the worst characters of all time, and Naoya and Yasuke were both trash. Basim was alright, though, and I always recommend Assassin's Creed Mirage, but, like, they need help as far as these games from a narrative structure standpoint, and yeah, which is really disappointing. But from a content standpoint, dude, if you like that open world, if you like the Ubisoft style of open world game design where there's a lot of stuff to do, and, you know, for games that you just want to mentally check out, listen to a podcast, listen to some music while you do some stuff, Shadows is a pretty good time. Like, the Assassin's Creed games, as far as the recent Assassin's Creed games go, they're always going to be a good time, or a decent time. I think good might be a little bit of a stretch, but a decent time in that regard. And as much as I hated Valhalla, playing Valhalla muted for most of the time, and, you know, just doing a lot of stuff in the open world, I put a lot of hours into it, so take that for what you will. But I also did love the Viking setting, and I love the Japan setting in Shadows as well. The open worlds are always pretty gorgeous, and they're fun to explore, and if you want to do some, you know, content on loop, so to speak, it's an okay time. It's just not blow away, and I certainly prefer the Assassin's Creed games of old, but I'm a broken record as far as that's concerned. But that is going to do it for me. Again, this is a breakdown of pretty much every major physical game release that came out this year. There's some stuff I didn't mention. Expedition 33, it just got, like, these special editions released, so I don't think that's going to get discounted since of how recent it is. And, you know, there are some smaller games. Atelier Yumiya, I could see that getting discounted. Trails Through Daybreak 2. There's some other games that came out that could be cheaper, but as far as the big titles, feel like we got a lot of them here. So might do a follow-up video. We probably will do another video of games from 2024 and a little bit before that could be worthwhile pickups, but this one wanted to focus on the 2025 releases. That'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. All of the information is in the description box below. As always, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.